Welcome to Table Talk. I'm your host, Karen Wilson. We have a couple of great segments for you today. First, I would like to welcome to the show Mr. Bobby Cox with the Warren County School System to discuss Attendance Awareness Month going on, I guess the whole month of September. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, we're trying to promote attendance not only in Warren County, but it's a national program, so yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was online just kind of doing some research and stuff and was reading, you know, how we kind of tend to take attendance for granted. We don't think a whole lot about it. So as you said, the national campaign, you're promoting it, I guess, within the community too. Talk to us about how absenteeism affects students and teachers and the whole class.
Well, you know, it does affect numerous things within the education system. Especially at younger grades. You know, students who miss 10% of the school year, for us that's about 18 days. Whether it's excused or unexcused, if it's in the elementary setting, K through 3, that's where they're learning to read, you know, learning basic math skills and things of that type. So it really can have a detrimental effect for students. It puts them behind, and they tend to stay behind if they continue to do that year after year after year. Then at the high school and middle school level, you know, there's a lot of content being taught each and every day, and with testing as high stakes as it is, you know, when you miss that many days, then that really puts you behind. You really can't, it's hard, you can't, not say you can't catch up, but it's really hard to catch up. And you know, we know that there's illnesses and people get sick and, you know, have things that they have to do. But, you know, we really just want to try to promote when you can be in class every day. If you go to the doctor, you know, try to come back if you can. You know, we never want children to come when they're sick, but, you know, it really does have a huge effect on academic performance. And if it's multiple years, then it really can compound.
I would think too, as a teacher, it's kind of erodes into your class time if you're having to get children constantly caught up or give more one-on-one. Talk to us about what that's like for teachers and how it can affect more than just your student that is missed.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, teachers, you know, it's hard to differentiate that instruction anyway, you know, because every student's not necessarily on the same level and they learn at different speeds, and teachers try to cater to that to make sure students are learning the material in the way that they learn the material. So it is hard for them. If students are out, they have to try to catch them up, and if it's multiple students and they're at multiple places, then it is really hard to do that. And a lot of times teachers really worry about, you know, getting everything taught so students are prepared for the end of the year and ready to move on. So it does really play a role, you know, in the whole educational format, you know, day in and day out. A lot of people don't think about that, but you know, we try to do the best we can to make sure everybody gets the material they need. So, yeah.
So what are some of the factors that could cause chronic absenteeism?
Well, there's several. You know, most of the time it is illness or things of that type that students endure. And like I said, we don't want students to come to school sick or ill, but we have health plans that we can develop for students to where we can adjust to their needs. It's called a 504 plan, but we also do health plans as well. You know, a lot of times it's just, you know, students just not wanting to come to school, you know, may have a history of truancy in the past, and, you know, that just, you know, kind of gets in a habit, I guess. And we talk a lot about the importance of education, and we try to drive home some of those things that employers tell us about. You know, they tell us one of the major things is not just the academic knowledge of the student, but they really need somebody that's going to be at work and be there every day. And we understand that, and you know, we try to get students to understand that this is not just something that the state of Tennessee says you have to do, but it's important. You know, after you get out of school and you get a job, you know, you have to go to work every day. That's what employers expect. So that's some of the things that we try to, you know, instill in them. But you know, a lot of times it's medical, but more times than not, it's just, you know, kind of not valuing the importance of education, and we fight that some.
I would think too, even with the medical, that communication with the school is a major factor. If I can remember, I had a daughter in 3rd grade that was, oh, my tummy hurts, you know.
Right, yes,
and after missing, you know, it turned it into several weeks at times. But as long as I was working with the teacher, and they were so gracious to help us work through that. And she come, you know, past it, but it seemed like that communication was essential as far as the school.
Well, absolutely. And you know, one of the things that I've seen just over the years, when we started putting nurses in the schools, and we have a nurse in every building, and they help out a lot. You know, they can diagnose a lot of things where if a student, you know, had an earache or sore throat or something, where normally we would just call mom or dad and say, hey, you know, you probably need to come and get them. We're not medical professionals. They can look at that and determine whether the child can stay, contact the parent, say, you know, tell them what's going on, and really determine whether they need to go home or go to the doctor or not. And that's helped our attendance a lot. And on a day in and day out basis, you know, we have about a 96% attendance rate in elementary schools, about 93, 94 in the high school. But the chronic rate that we, you know, started seeing and tracks students that are in school and out of school, excused or unexcused. So that's a little bit higher rate. And there's some things that, you know, that could be anything from a doctor's visit to going to visit a college. So, you know, just trying to reiterate the importance of being there every day.
Are there certain times of the year that you see a spike in absenteeism?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you know, anytime close to a break, you know, everybody wants to try to take off a little bit early. You know, we see a spike then, you know, usually in October and fall break time. Christmas, you know, is another time, spring break, and especially the end of the year. You know, the end of the year after testing's over with. You know, a lot of times, you know, families either go on vacation. We try to do a lot of field trips, you know, during that time. But even at the high school level is rough because graduation's coming up. You know, there's, you know, most of the time they're through with everything because they have to get grades in. So that's just a tough time. It's tough for us as well. You know, I've said kind of jokingly, it'd almost be good not to put an end of school date, just call up one day and say, just we're done, you know. But
don't come back till
next year.
Yes.
Well, we can't really do that.
Yeah, I know we were talking before we went on the air about some of the things at the high school they're doing to incentivize students to keep coming, and it had to do with parking passes.
Yeah. That was, you know, that's been the big deal. And like I said, we were talking about that, but that parking pass is almost like gold now. You know, is everybody wants to park, you know, close to their friends. And I've got a daughter that drives too, and they want to in a park where they can get out fast and not have to cross traffic, which is good, and I understand that. But I think Mr. Walker has tried to do some things now where students that have good attendance, you know, do well academically, you know, maybe get first choice of that, and you know, maybe get a cut price rate on the parking pass and things of that type. But anything that's really the the big thing right now. It's they like picking
You
that
have to
parking
find
pass.
out
That's
what
right.
means something to them,
That's
and
right.
that does mean something. And if
It
it gets them
does.
to school, that's a
That's
win-win
okay.
on both
That's
sides.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
our teachers really, I guess, going back to thinking of some of the younger grades, probably the elementary, I guess they've probably had training on how to deal with maybe students that are more at risk. Maybe they their home life is not very supportive of schools. Tell us a little bit about some of that teachers.
Yeah, they're we track at-risk factors. Many of them, whether it's academically at risk or students who just have problems at home. We have a family resource center that also helps us out with that, because they can identify families that have these, and we work pretty close with the court system as well. To try to learn who these students are and try not to let them fall into that same mode, I guess. But a lot of times it's students who struggle. If they struggle academically, then they find it school's kind of hard. And we found that if we can go and meet the parent on their turf rather than coming to school, then it's a good opportunity to reach them on their level and maybe build that relationship. So that's what a lot of times that's what happens with principals, and Mr. Jeff Martin does a good job from our level of working with those families. And we're not dealing with a large number, maybe 5% out of the entire school population, but that 5% is important. So we want them all there.
When we were out running around in high school age, they had truancy officers. Are those still a factor? Do they still have those?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's what Jeff's official title is director of attendance. So, but he's the truancy guy, and I did that for 3 years before I moved into curriculum and instruction, and so Jane Allison did it before that. So we'll always have somebody there that kind of tracks them down.
Yeah,
So,
well, that's good. I think my mom got a call or two
Yeah,
from
yeah.
somebody at we're all young once,
That's
weren't we?
exactly right. Exactly right.
So tell us, I guess, how this push for awareness is really wanting to involve the parents, the community. How can we all work together to promote attendance?
Well, I think the big thing for us is just doing what we're doing now, just having the conversation. We're putting some things out on our social media just to show the importance of attendance. And again, it's academically motivated for us. We want those students to be there every day to get the academic portion, but we also have done a lot of work on social emotional learning in the summer with our teachers. We want them to be there because we want children to enjoy coming to school. And we try to do some things like positive behavior support and rewards and things of that type. But we want them to be there, and want them to enjoy their time in school, because that's short, and and then hopefully instill that habit of being there on time, so that when they go into the workforce, that's an expectation that they've already learned. So.
Well, I tell you that you do very well, seems like, with being there on time. My kids, they'll be late to everything else, but they don't want to be late to school.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a
well,
good
thank
thing.
you so much for contacting us and bringing attention to this. I hope it's helped out with parents understanding about the importance of it and the effects that it has on the entire school.
Well, I appreciate you helping us out as well.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Bobby, for coming on the show today. Come right back after this break with more Table Talk.